Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas, and as you see, I'm sitting in a village of India, and the inspiration to visit this village has come to me at this moment with the help of this book which I'm holding, and it's a wonderful book called Beyond Milestones, A Journey Through Life. And interestingly, it is written by two authors. One is sitting with me, and the other author is his grandson. So it is a dialogue or a way of understanding life from the point of view of two generations which are set apart by one generation in between. And how interestingly this book unfolds many stories which are complete in themselves, as well as connect with us and enriches our experiences as immigrants. And there is much more mysterious as well as mystical element which is a part of this journey through life, Beyond Milestones. I have the great pleasure of welcoming Surinder Rametra ji to our studio. Surinder ji, namaste. As I was mentioning, I want to compliment you for living up to your dream. I remember a couple of years ago you said that you are contemplating to write a book and it will be with your grandson. So tell me, what was it that led you to even think about writing a book? Because let me also mention for our viewers that you have been very passionately, actively and successfully involved with life as an entrepreneur.
First of all, thanks to all the viewers. This book was actually inspired by my grandson, so the credit mostly goes to him. He came to me at my 70th birthday, which is about 5 years ago, and told me that he would like to learn about my experiences. So 70 years, he was about 12 years old. To explain 12 years old boy who is a very intellectual, very independent, and very logical in thinking, I thought that if he gets involved and learn each of my experiences, discuss, debate, and document with me, then he will learn better rather than me preaching him or me just imparting my experiences. So that was the start of the book.
So I jump to another question because I read the book, part of the book tells me about your family. So there was an interesting story maybe about your grandfather who was crossing the river. Was it about him?
Yes.
So tell us about that story.
The story is that I was trying to introduce my grandfather, and he fortunately happened to be also Leo. So when I was born, I was considered in my family that I am the reincarnation of my grandfather, because I think my birth was after about 6 months to 7 months of his death. So my grandmother used to always think that I am the reincarnation, whether some pandits told him, whether something she heard. So it always amused me that, okay, if I am in the reincarnation, what are the qualities I have which matches with me? So first was that he was also Leo and I am Leo. Secondly, he is very impulsive and I am very impulsive. And that particular story tells the story that he was drunk. He was a very, very good horse rider. And the people challenged him that, okay, can you today, when you are not in full your senses, can you cross the river without going through the bank? He first hesitated and went through, and he died. Okay, the horse could not cross the river. He could not control, and the horse got very badly hurt, and he died at the spot. So that was just trying to introduce myself. That what different qualities I had with my grandfather.
So basically, this scene and imagining that someone is trying to cross the river with a big leap or gallop of the horse and he's drunk. I mean, these are the kind of images which we sitting in New York would not imagine that ever existed, and they are very much, if not directly, a part of the life of Surinder ji, but he walks us through that ambience. So there are chapters where he's interacting with his aunt, and he also talks to us about how compassionate and warm his family members were in terms of embracing and taking care of the people around them. So I want our viewers to hear from you about your grandmother, who, of course, was a simple housewife, I believe, and she intervened in the life of one lady because she felt that it was required.
That's true. My grandmother was not only interested in the family affairs, but she was very highly respected in panchayat. She was not a panch, but most of the panch will be interested to seek her advice. Before that, they used to seek my grandfather's advice. He was panch. And even at that time, the village people used to call her Jatti Shani. Jatti means who is a very brave in saying what she wants to say, and she is a very fair. This lady, she was our housemaid, and her husband was mistreating. So she warned him once or twice, and ultimately one time he hit her with some fire log, and she was very badly burnt. And that time she was so upset that she had to instruct him that I am taking her to the hospital, and by the time you come back, if you are here, I will have no recourse than to put you in the jail through the procedure, or you leave the village. So she was very determined woman, and that's how I was describing each character by character who were part of my life and in my journey.
So what I found quite fascinating is the way at 70, challenged or inspired by his grandson, Surendraji starts recollecting layer by layer many instances of his life and weaves them in such an interesting manner that it becomes a very, very interesting read as well as educating along with mystically unfolding some of the references of his life. And this one is not very, very suspensive, but we don't come across people who were taught at home in the beginning to the extent that the headmaster would take exam to assess which grade should he be taken into. So share with me how at 70, maybe you were 8 or 9 when you went to the school for the first time, was it right?
Yeah. I come from a very small village, and there was no school. There was no primary school, there was no high school. And the nearest school was in the town, which is about 8 kilometers. My parents used to have a teacher at home who will teach me and my other siblings. And the most of the education what I got until whatever I had was through the teacher. And I had a lot of respect for the teacher, and if I consider the best teacher in my life, that is the person used to call him Bhaiya. And when I went to this city, there came a question that what grade I will be fit to go into. When the headmaster of that primary school, he asked me the question and he asked me to write the essays and other things, he was completely baffled that what grades I can put it in him. And he told my cousin that he has only the limitation to put him to the 4th grade, and in 2 months, 4th grade will be completed and he will go to the secondary school. And if we try to push him to go into the much higher grades, which he is capable, he may not be mixing up with the crowd.
So that's how you started your school, and there must be something that you did in terms of educating yourself or something that you were taught at home. Was there some special attention paid towards keeping good memory?
I would not say that it was meant for the memories, but the education that I got from my teacher it was more like inspiring. He always used to say that I want you to enjoy if you want to read. His message to me always was that anything you do in your life, you should enjoy that, and then you will be doing better. And he instilled in me that I should read the books of Mahatma Gandhi, I should read about Shivaji Pratap or Rana Pratap, and some other people in worldwide heroes. And that type of the books, I had read it even much before. Even if the teacher want to ask me to say that, I ask him what you would like to know, who is the character you would like me to narrate it. And that was very, they felt it was fascinating. As far as math is concerned, I was much ahead of the student even in the 6th grade or 7th grade, because at the home, you do not have to stop at a certain place, or you don't go with the class. You can start reading and you start doing the things, and the teacher will keep on giving you higher and higher aspiration things. So,
absolutely. No, I'm just thinking of sharing with our viewers that in Beyond Milestones, we are taken to your childhood phase where most of the family members have gone for some wedding, and one auntie is there, and she makes it a point that you are educated into Indian culture, and you have described it with so much detail as if it just happened yesterday.
That was really fascinating. And another thing which was fascinating to me, when I was trying to teach Akash, he did not know much about our culture. And I did not know at that time either. So the resistance I had, that if I'm sitting with the puja, I wanted to know even at that time what that puja was for. So the first day, when she was even newcomer in our home, there was a Satyanarayan Katha, and I had no interest, but my parents were saying that I must sit over there. So she pushed me. She said, "You sit with me, and I don't know much about this Katha, so we will discuss this after the Katha is over." So she had been a sort of a teacher to me on the culture, what that Katha meant, why we do this Katha, why we do the other, all the rituals, what is the meaning of those. So that particular thing got me much more interested that in our own culture.
So you had a lot of questions at that time, and when you were listening to the questions of Akash, was there something like a deja vu that, oh, I was also thinking like him?
Exactly. So that is why I was saying that, okay, Akash, you're not interested in, and he even sometimes asked me why there are hundreds of gods we have. So I felt that rather than just telling him one by one, take him with me that journey and go through what I learned from my aunt, which I call Taiji.
Let's go to the next phase of your life because of the time limitation, and what you want to become is decided by what you like or what you hear that you should pursue this or that. So how IIT?
I would say most of the things happened, not that I did not work for those, but most of the things, most of the cross section, whenever I was, it was led by the force beyond me. I went to the best engineering college, Punjab Engineering College, Chandigarh. I was probably the last but one student they accepted according to the merit. But once I was there, that was the inspiration for me to just fight, so that I won't be considered whole 4 years that I am the leftover student. So even at the IIT, when I got the admission, I was very happy that I got the admission, but I did not feel that that is what I could have got, or I should not have got. I applied for that, and I would say the destiny was with me that, okay, I have to leave my job and then go for the IIT post-graduation study.
So getting into IIT is still considered a very prestigious thing, and it's very difficult, and I think it was even more tough those days, more competitive, less number of seats. Now there are more numbers of IITs. But if you have some impressions of your years as a student there, anything that stands out in terms of something that you learned there has become a part of your life?
Both Punjab Engineering College and IIT was a great learning for me. Number one, Punjab Engineering College actually taught me that I have to be serious. If I was a student, as I told you, that when I came in the smaller, on the fourth grade in the primary school, I knew more than that, so I was a little bit more careless at that time that, okay, I can do this type of thing. But going to engineering college, when I felt that I was not the smartest student over there, that was the biggest challenge. So to meet the challenge, you have to work hard, and that particular thing I learned over there. It definitely, I learned there.
And as I move in some of the pages of your book, the reference of your wedding also comes up. How was the decision taken, arranged, your role? How much of it you share in the book?
My marriage was actually arranged marriage, perfectly. There's nobody asked me this question. It was decided by my sister and my mother, and I had no other choice in the sense that I did not have anybody that I was dating or I liked more than what this particular girl was. So we probably, first time when we met, we hardly met for 5 minutes. And I was in a rush to just get out of that because...
Why?
Because there's all 10 women sitting over there.
Oh, I see.
And I just asked her very few questions. I asked her, I think 2 questions. I said, what grade you are studying? And I think something like that. And she sometimes joked me that you did not have any other question to ask me.
And did she ask you something?
No, she did not ask me. But that is the way the...
Okay, now interesting part is, when you were sharing that side of your life with Akash, who is between 12 to 17 while the book is being written, how did he respond? Was he okay, or he felt that, no, this is something very strange and I wouldn't like to follow these footsteps?
No, he laughed at. He said that, but you are not going to do arranged marriage for me. Okay. So, but we do understand. I mean, we discussed even I go back a little bit, I was more interested to tell him that how I got the sanskar. Because we were combined family, joint family. We had the parents to teach us. We had the other siblings who can give me some guidance and everything. In today's family, both husband and wives are working, and most of the material which is available, not Akash I had spent a lot of time in my life, but most of the other people, my grandchildren, they have not that much opportunity to be with grandparents or those there. So I was saying that this is how our sanskars were built. This is how our foundations were established. And it was not, we were not trying to debate on this basis that sanskars were better than today's. So if you see that Akash was even saying that if I was born even today in the Mideast, or I was born in Nazi family in the World War, would be my sanskar the same? Mm-hmm. So we had a lot of debate on those issues, but the question was that, we were telling that what I was going through, and I wanted to tell him that what he believed in those.
So there is so much in the life of Surinderji. Of course, we cannot talk about everything, but few aspects here and there. So on the page 81, I read few lines, and then we move towards Surinderji. So he writes, for our honeymoon, we went to Bangalore and then to Ooty. Both places were exciting and romantic, but I believe the trip was more to get to know each other than fun and relaxation. So did that happen? Was something that you had in mind in terms of knowing, has that happened even now?
Fortunately, before marriage, for 15 months we were writing letters, so I thought that I know enough. We didn't meet with each other. For 15 months, we were doing the letter writing. So when we went first time to the honeymoon, I felt that I don't know anything about her.
Okay, so let me just interrupt you to read this line also, where he says that during the 15 months of our courtship, we had religiously writing letters to each other almost every day. And we had found out that we didn't have anything in common. We would argue over the most trifle things and mostly agree to disagree. But the interesting side here is the habit of writing letters. While you were writing this book, did you refer some of those letters?
I had given all the letters and she had given all the letters, but they were not available to us when I was writing the book. But since my mother-in-law, who was with us, she was very helpful to tell me what if I am missing some contest, and I used to talk about. And my own brothers, sisters, they were helpful. I went to Drangla, which is my hometown, and my father's eldest cousin, who was about 20 years older than him, I think I have mentioned about him that, and he told me a lot about my grandfather. He told me this whole story of this. So there was some pieces which made it very much authentic that I was able to research and get it to the point.
So at 70, leaving what you are doing, no, not exactly leaving, but taking time out from what you are doing and writing this book itself is a great thing, I must say, Surendraji. But as we move towards the concluding part of our conversation, just a few minutes to go, let us learn something about your evolution as someone in the corporate world or as a business owner. Walk us through a few landmarks.
I started a job in India as a management consultant. And in the management consultant, being the junior most consultant, an opportunity came that there was nobody available, and I was assigned to take a very serious assignment, which was for the publishing company. And they wanted to do the whole valuation of the company, rather job evaluation, and union was even putting a sort of a limitation that in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, that has to be completed. When that assignment was given to me, I was under the full fear that I will not be able to do it. I had a complete no idea about how I can go to the principal of the company and say, I'm going to do your job evaluation and going to do the other people's job evaluation. But I felt that, or I learned at that time that if you focus the problem, and it even looks very, very big or hard, lot of time it is not that hard. If you go to the basics, the problem does come to a point where you go by element and you can solve. And that completing in time, it was a surprise to me, it was a surprise to my peers, and that made me all of a sudden a big, out of the league from the junior most consultant to the consultant level. So that particular encouragement or something, I don't know whether you call it destiny or you call it that you put your efforts not to solve the problem, but to see that what exactly they want. So if you know what exactly they want, it's a very different problem. In that particular company, the management was looking certain thing, and the union was looking that they should not hire the new people to do the job for the newer machine or better machine. So if you talk about the solution, if you solve that part, that okay, we are going to give the job if they are qualified, the union will not say anything. But just fighting, no, we are going to have the new people coming from outside and there's no other way to do it, That was the conflict. So I believe that most of the time, very simple things, we complicate ourselves.
So we'll be very brief and simple in trying to discover what is it that we call as success in the words of Surinderji.
Success, and I won't use the word success. I feel that in every step of the life, success and failure were all together. And I believe in that. If you are afraid of failure, you cannot have a success either. So I have seen a lot of successes, I have seen a lot of failures, and I believe that all those challenges I met with my fullest, and even if the God sent me again for this type of the life again, I'll take the same package. I will not ask him differently.
I think there is no package which is a replica of another package. So God is very creative. And you talk about culture and religion and your point of view. And there is a sense of out-of-box thinking which one would come by as one starts knowing you. And maybe beyond this book also, you have kept yourself very active, and now you are involved with some ventures that takes you to India also. You want to share something about the new thing that has happened?
As I said that at the age of 70 plus, I retired. And then a friend of mine was not very happy with my retirement, and he says that you have to start something again. And we started a business. It's more on the outsourcing, a back-end office work. A very small venture what we started. I would say that today, not that it's owned everything 100% by us. Now the partners are Merrill Lynch, partners are Apollo Funding, partners are Citibank. But we have a client base of 50% Fortune 100 companies are our client.
Wow.
We are in 13 different countries and 55 different offices. And that just started as a probably you could call it a hobby, that okay, after retirement, what you have to do.
Amazing.
So now what will be the outcome of that? Neither me nor he, depend upon the outcome of that for our living. But that is our passion. We keep on doing. We enjoy that. But I said before, when you do something and you enjoy and you don't have pressure, you don't get tired, you keep on doing and keep your head very straight. And I think that particular focus is still there.
So that focus, and page 141 of his book, and probably that relates to a secret which might help some of us here. He says, though I'm not religious and do not worship God in a formal way, I have always found Him by my side every time I needed Him, and that too without asking. So you want to share any one instance where you felt that we call it divine intervention or miracle or something which is difficult to explain in the normal logical fashion that happened and helped you?
And the same thing actually amused Akash when I said that destiny plays some role in your life. In 2 days later, he came and he wrote the full line. He says, destiny plays an important role in the life. I believe that whatever task I have done, I repeated that I was before that in consulting, and then I went into job, and then I started my own business. Each time I had the different problems. And whenever I felt that I don't have the solution, I will try to research inside me that how I am going to solve this. And to me, that antaratma you can call, or that thing always was with me. I might have restless nights several times, but I found the solution and the things kept on going in a good way or the bad way, okay? But it kept on going, not that I stopped or I kicked off.
So, one, I would like to recommend that you should try to read Beyond Milestones, A Journey Through Life, Surinder Rametra and Akash Vasil. As we conclude this conversation, there are many questions that remains to be asked maybe some other time. But who do you think has been the most effective critic or reader whose response you felt added an additional layer of awareness about yourself from this book?
Not the outside forces, but once the book was compiled, I sent to some few friends, and their recommendation was that put it in a story form rather than just describing different aspect of the philosophy of the life. Okay, he says that I won't be able to do a good job in a very small pages. So that's why we started that. As I kept on writing, I got a lot of good guidance from a lot of other good writers. One is Shikha Sinha, who lives in Long Island. One is Ved Rahi, which I mentioned to you. He was like a mentor to me. Whenever I had some idea that, and he encouraged me. He, according to him, he says that this is the simplest book which has no ego of a writer.
Wow. I think he has said it beautifully, and it is not the ego, but it's a sense of warmth, sense of honestly sharing his life, which is an intricate pattern of interesting happenings as well as enriching insights. Surinder Rametra, thank you very much for, first of all, responding positively to your grandson who wanted to learn about your life, and you ended up offering your life to all of us, and many readers would be benefited definitely by this wonderful book. Lots of good wishes.
I would just like to add, our book is today available in the Amazon, Barnes Noble, and some other big publishing.
And as earlier you were mentioning, this has done well so far, and the proceeds are going for some charitable foundation.
That's right.
And what that foundation is stand
Shanti
for?
Foundation. Shanti is the name of my mother, and the foundation is in India.
And what are you doing with that foundation in terms of charitable
All the
act?
proceeds which I am getting right now, we are trying to put, starting next year, approximately 500 to 600 trees. We are already contracting with the agriculture department, and each state by state we will take. My own company is in Pune, in Maharashtra. It is in Chennai. These two, I have the commitment that they will sponsor the first year and the second year. And third year, we have a hospital in Chandigarh. I think they will sponsor that. So I will be taking the help of the Shanti Foundation to initiate the things. And if I get the sponsors, we will use their funds to keep on going that.
Wonderful. So this book is acting literally as a seed for many beautiful things that will emerge. My guest today, Surinder Rametra ji, co-author of Beyond Milestones, A Journey Through Life. I appreciate his contribution and thank all of you for being with us. This is Ashok Vyas.
Thank you, Ashok.